It says I'm live. Okay. Hi, everybody. I just wanted to welcome you to my YouTube channel. Just want to go ahead and get started. Um, so, I wanted to talk today about sleeping with the enemy. And before I get started about that, and more particular, sleeping with the inner me, I want to talk today about what that really does mean and how that truly does affect the way that we show up and how that affects our everyday living, how that affects our lives, how that affects our relationships, our health, in every aspect of our lives that we aren't even aware of. So before I get started, let me just share with you that my name is Cami Knight, and I help others heal the matters of their hearts by helping them identify the root causes as to why their life might be in a whirlwind, that cycle of pain, that cycle of heartache, that same cycle, and they see that it's constantly keeps showing up in their lives. And I help people really break free from that because what I have found, not only in the people that I work with, but also I have found this in my personal life. And this is how I really became a coach by me actually um, really hearing the call from God and to walking that out and really identifying and allowing the spirit to show me where my shadows were doing that shadow work. And so I'm here to share with you a very quick spin that I had has been revealed to me about sleeping with the enemy, and what I mean by that is sleeping with the inner me. When I say sleeping with the enemy and sleeping with the inner me, we are with ourselves daily. We are with ourselves constantly, even whether if you are married or not married, whether if you are with a significant other or not. At the end of the day, we are with ourselves. We go home to ourselves. We speak to ourselves. We listen to ourselves. And if you're quiet and you had a recording in your head, I can remember one of my mentors had said that. She had an event years ago, and she said, if you had a recorder in the background of your head, recording your thoughts, what would those thoughts be, and more in particular, what thoughts are you adhering to? So I wanted to share my story with you as far as it pertains to sleeping with the inner me. Our inner me is, let me just share my story, is rooted in our beliefs, our core beliefs about how we see ourselves and how we choose to show up based out of that. So once again, our inner me, the inner part within us, is based out of our beliefs, our belief patterns, our agreements, and also our wounds. Are That's where that stuff is so stored. So um, we're going to talk about uprooting the wounds, uprooting the scars, uprooting, and underneath that is the truth. Underneath that is the truth. So this is why there's a lot of people that have what you would call self-sabotaging. A lot of people, I have encountered that within myself, self-sabotaging. And I mentioned on my in my Insta story, I mentioned about the self fulfilling prophecy, the negative self fulfilling prophecy. I'm going to say that again. The negative self fulfilling prophecy. One more time. The negative self fulfilling prophecy. And you might say, well, what is that? What is the negative self fulfilling prophecy? And it's basically rooted, hear me good, it's rooted in our trauma, it's rooted in what we've experienced. And not only necessarily that, but it's also rooted in our belief systems and really a lot of what we have been taught to believe and what we have taken in as children, what we've taken in from our past, what we've stored in as records within our minds and within our subconscious mind, within our experiences, a lot of our stored experiences from what we have had, what we've encountered as children, or what we even, if I have encountered in our past, what someone else has shared and told us, what, who, and what not to trust, and who and what, and how we should show up in life. And so, all these different agreements and attachments and beliefs in how we see ourselves plays a huge part of how we show up, a huge part. And the beauty about relationships, the beauty about marriage, is that it is from my experience, it's just the ultimate mirror, because it allows you to see your shadows, because you're looking at yourself on the outside. You're actually looking at your shadows. You're looking at all of you, all of what you may think of who you are. All of that is faced with. You're able to fully see that from head to toe, and it's a mirror that you cannot outrun, but it's also a mirror to serve your highest good. It's also a mirror to serve your highest good. I'm gonna say that it's also a mirror to serve your highest good. And so I want us to turn the mirror within our hearts and within ourselves. Any relationship that you might find tethering, I want you to turn the mirror within yourself, because everything is how we relate to ourselves. And I know that can be a hard pill to swallow. I know for me it was, because I didn't wasn't fully into the knowledge of understanding that I had a lot of pride, and these belief patterns that I was raised to believe, and that I believed from my early life, of fortitude and just my identity. And I wrote down everything, when I thought about my former identity. I wrote down everything of who is Cami, and her personality and her belief patterns, and what are her her values, and what she will and will not take. I wrote down all those different things, and I began really sitting with myself, and I recognized, as God began showing me, that all of the things that you have, your list, your walls, your conditions, your what you think is power for Cami, that's protecting Cami, that isn't who you are. Now, the Spirit of God told me this, and I recognized this. This was shown up in my life at the very pinnacle part of my life, when my life was like a whirlwind. I was very broken, very shattered. But it was my very defining moment for me, because that's where God met me. And when God met me, God began showing me my inner shadows, my inner thoughts, my inner beliefs, my inner wounds, my inner agreements that was showing up full fledged, within my life, within my marriage, within my everyday aspects of me, and how it was showing up. And so God began doing the healing work and shining light on what the inner me, what that really did mean. Um, Very quickly, we can be our worst enemy. It's not really, I've heard the saying that, it's not really the snake that bit you, is more about the venom. So it's not necessarily the agreements that we have had, but more so the how we allow it to penetrate, how we allow it to take root. And so really understanding it, and then we really don't know or aren't aware of that. Well, I wouldn't didn't fully know or was aware of that until I had my encounter with God, until like life. blew me in the chest. And there were signs along the way. I felt that tug of the Holy Spirit, like something is off, something is not adding up. But let me, and so it wasn't until I recognized I had my divine awakening where I said, wait a minute, my life feels very painful in my heart. My it feels shattered. God, who am I? And what am I? And what am I not? Who am I not? Right? And so that's when God began showing me the inner wounded place that was festering, how I tried to put on a smile, and on the inside of my heart, I was very broken. How I didn't believe that I was enough, but yet I tried to portray that everything was okay. Um, how I felt, didn't even know this at the time, but just dysfunctionally functioning, and just thinking that that's how you're supposed to show up. And so this is why I talk about like the inner me, the inner me, the inner me that goes on, that festers, that if we allow it to. And the enemy in inner me is rooted in fear, is rooted in a past trauma. It's rooted in that anything that is not like God. If it's rooted in pride, if it's rooted in deep bitterness or anger, or self-sabotaging, um, or just a deep place that's rooted in fear, that low place, that heavy place. These are the things that God dealt with within my heart, and God began doing the surgery work in my heart and began showing me the areas, the plaque, and the things that needed to be cleansed out. And what I wanted to do, I found myself trying to take matters in my own hands. I found myself trying to take control, and not listening to the Spirit of God, not listening to Spirit, not listening to that inner voice, that inner truth. Because what happened during that time when I was resisting it, I wanted to validate my pain. And not only did I wanted to validate my pain, but I felt right in validating my pain and holding my pain and harnessing my pain. And it became a coddling, what is this? A coddling a company that I kept around me, and my way of coddling myself. It was my way of seeking a vengeance for during the time when I didn't defend myself. It was a very this was the anger and the bitterness and all of that I held ever since I was a child. And as the pain, the brokenness showed up in my life and showed up in my marriage and showed up in my relation, just showed up within me, particularly within me, as God began showing me this reflection within my relationship. God was showing me the matters of my heart and the things that I was holding on to, and the inner me, the heaviness that I was thought was, okay. And I want to share with you as well. If you feel guilty, or if you feel um, angry that maybe something happened to you and you are mad at that person, or you're mad at your whoever hurt you when you were a child, or angry at whoever took advantage of you, or if you felt hurt or abandoned in any way or any aspect of your life, I want to share the power that you truly have to let it go. The illusion of holding on to that power, the illusion of holding on to what you think is power, is not power, it's fear. The illusion of what you think you're holding on to is not power, it's not true power, it's fear. And fear is, there's good aspects to fear, and there is also the aspect that can be your own demise. And when we aren't aware of how powerful we are, we're constantly speaking life to that wound. right? You're constantly speaking fear and light when you're holding that and harnessing that. And there is a time and a place where there is healing, where you're not ready yet to release that, and that's okay. We're not here to judge you or anything. I'm just sharing the truth of it. When you get to the point where you decide to release the inner pain within you, to release the pride, to release the harness, right? We like to harness. When you decide to release that, identify it and release it, what ends up really, really, truly happening is that the truth will reveal itself and you will become the healer within yourself. When you allow that stuff to release off of you, when you allow that stuff to release off of you, and I share more in detail in my one on one coaching, but when you allow that stuff to release off of you, what ends up happening is that the truth reveals itself. The truth reveals itself. And so you get to the part where you're like, oh my gosh. And you step into this space of truth and light and love and alchemy, and you recognize that that was a shadow part of you. You recognize that that was your mother's stuff that you were carrying. You recognize that that was your grandmother stuff. That was your great grandfather stuff. That was, past ancestor stuff. That was records that you held within your mind, and it no longer becomes a part of you because you will step into the power and the sovereignty of and the truth of who you are. And that stuff doesn't define you. And this is how you release the inner me within you. Let me know if you would like more videos about this or any other topics that you would like for me to share. Healing the matters of the heart. Healing really is possible. I promise you guys, you really do have the power. I have been in this work for about 6 years, and I have been called to share this work. So that's all I have for today. If you guys are like one-on-one coaching, you guys can hit me on the website at the bottom. But that's all I have. Bye.